Good. Good morning, everyone. Here is a Sichot from the Lubavitcher Rebbe from about Shvi Shel Pesach, the seventh day of Passover. That the Lubavitcher Rebbe made in 1963, which is 13 years after he assumed the leadership of the Chabad movement. Here we have the teachings. A lot of people say that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, he is the Moshiach. And even though that he's not with us, but according to the Maimonides and others, dying does not disqualify a person from being Mashiach. And indeed, it says in the Talmud that if the Mashiach will come from the dead, he's going to be like, and there it says like Daniel, and that there's a lot of people that the other story says that Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, that he was also one of the candidates for Mashiach, that after he died and he was buried, and he would come home every Shabbat and make Kiddush for his family. So it means we don't exactly understand what life and death is, but suffice it to say that Mashiach is going to come, wanted, how do you say, wanted alive or dead or alive, or dead or alive. He should come and he should bring all the Jews back to Torah and the commandments, and he'll rebuild the temple, bring all the Jews back to Israel, make world peace. Here we go. Here, this is a Sichot from the Rebbe. This is a speech from the Lubavitcher Rebbe about Shvi Shel Pesach, the last day of Pesach. The last day of Pesach was a day that the Jewish people went over the Yam Suf. They went over what's called the Red Sea, which, arguably you could say it's really not the Red Sea, it's really the Sea of Reeds or something. But however it is, in the Torah, it's called the Yam Suf. So they went over this river of the Yam Suf. Okay, now here's a few interesting things that maybe you didn't know about this, about the splitting of the sea. Very famous occurrence, right? It was in the big thing in the movies. The example of a miracle. It's like splitting the sea, and all the Jewish people go through the sea, about 3 million people, just 600,000 just men from the age of 60 up, from the age of 20 years old and higher. Some people say just from 20 to 60, but they didn't include even the older people. In any case, not including women, children, there was about 3 million people that they all went through the sea. And as we know, as soon as the Jewish people went through and the Egyptians were hot in their pursuit, and strangely, they weren't able to catch them, even though they had horses and things, the Jews were on foot. But the Jews went over and it drowned all the Egyptians. Okay, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that the Jewish people did not really cross over the sea. They went into the sea, made a sort of a left turn or right turn, whatever turn it was. They went down and they came out, they make like a U-turn, a huge U-turn. And they came out on the same side of the river that they went in. So it seems the whole purpose was to kill the Egyptians, which that doesn't make any sense either, because any one of the 10 plagues could have killed all the Egyptians. So let's have a look and see. The Midrash Tzil, this is in Yiddish, the Midrash Tzil, the Midrash tells us as that B'shas Kriyas Yamsuf, in the time of Kriyas Yamsuf, Zainen from deck, from a Rois gewachsen Yam Boimer. It says from the floor, from the sea, grew up trees. Was haben getragen peros, and the trees had fruits. And the Kinder and the children, the Jewish children, haben gerissen peros, they plucked the fruits from the boimer, from the trees, and they gegeben zu the Vögel, and they gave to the birds. Was haben mitgesungen, which sang together with them, with the Yidden, they haben gesagt Shira. When the Jews went over the sea, So these birds sang together with the Jews. The Jews were happy that they went over the sea, and the birds were happy that they got the fruits. Excuse me. There's a general principle. God does not do miracles for no reason. He doesn't show off. Der Eibishter macht nicht kein Nes Umsitz. He doesn't do a miracle for nothing. The reason of them is, the reason why is Teva, because nature is Dachabriya, is a creation from God. Chachas Teva is Malim of Elokus, even though the nature conceals God. Like Hasidut explains, is Mizbeir is explained as Teva. The word for Teva, nature, is Tova B'Yam Suv, means to be sunk. So to speak, nature hides God. Just like if you drop a diamond into the water, you can't find it. So also nature is like water in this case, and it hides God. But you look at God, all the scientists in the world, you can't detect God with a microscope or with a telescope or with a any sort of say scientific devices. Can't detect God. Why? Because nature conceals God. Even though the nature is a creation of God, nature itself is really a pretty big miracle. Punkt wie a zach, just like a thing which is verzunken, which is sunk in the water, verdeckt, it hides over the water, hides over the thing which is inside of him, is we can't see, all you can see is the water. A zoe also verdeckt, conceals. Oich teva, nature from Welt, from the world, oich from chayas eloki, from the godliness which is in it. Thus, this means, as Hagam, that even though that God is doch mechadish betuv v'chol yom tamid ma'aseh brishos, that God really creates everything constantly, and everything is constantly being created from nothing. In other words, the whole world is a big miracle, and every detail is in a miracle. And when Moshiach comes and says there's going to be a new world, what does it mean, a new world? That we'll see the miraculousness of the world. But the fact of the matter is, until that happens, is over mitzad teva, because of the nature, hanaga, the natural laws of nature, is all the world acts in an automatic, seemingly automatic way. The Welt führt sich allemal in the Zelberhof, in the world goes in the same way as kenich oisduchen, so it can appear, chas v'shalom, God forbid, as ein manig labir. There's no how do I say, director, that there's no king of the world. There's just a world. And the world goes according to itself. Or you can say that God created the world. Maybe he created the world, 5,000 years ago, 5 billion, 5 trillion years ago, 5 quadrillion years ago. That he created the world a long time ago, and that the world just goes on its own. Or like some people say, religious scientists will say, God created the first atom. Okay, good, all right. God created the first atom, and then afterwards he made the laws of nature, and the laws of nature go on, which is pretty logical, right? That's the way every factory works. You make the machines, and then the machines go on their own. They go according to you have to maintain them. So thing is the world. But the truth is, as Dachteva line, nature is really a creation from God. And God is creating it all the time. Like it says, Huka Shamayim Ba'oretz Samti. God made who made the laws of nature. Right? There's a Congress that passed the laws of nature. The laws of nature are from God. And in fact, all of nature is from God. The nature gazettes and the laws of nature from Shemayim Ba'oretz, heaven and earth, is the Eibishter hat God made these laws, is the kavana, that there's an intention in the order from nature, was which the Rebbe, therefore, mach der Eibishter nit kein nes, the God does not make a miracle, shinu ateva, oibsi is nit muchrach, unless it's necessary. In other words, God wants there to be a world, and he wants the world to act in a normal way, and he wants the world to conceal him. That's what God wants. God wants the world to conceal godliness. In order, nit zu steren the Seder Teva, in order to not to. The Rebbe, therefore, is nit verstandig, so it's not understood. So to leave their Hatzalah in order to save the Jews, is Voltan Kanduga would have been enough to add some creation to split the sea. So Livosad Nach Kedarf, why did there have to be this another miracle, a seemingly meaningless miracle, as Zolan Oiskevaksen, that they were growing up trees, as the Boimel, the trees themselves, Zolan given Peros gave the fruits, Baltvizer, Beshafen, Gavorn, immediately when they were created. How long did it take the Jews to go over the Yam Suf? How long could it have taken, right? It took 5 hours, 10 hours, who knows? They wanted a quick way. Nevertheless, a tree, it takes a long time for a tree to grow, right? It takes a year or something like that. Who knows? For a half a year, a tree to grow and for fruits to come on the tree. And here the trees grew up immediately and fruits came off of the trees, right? Nidvid or Seder from Teva, not in the way of nature. as is nemtas a meshach time that it takes a certain amount of time for plants to grow the tree, plant the tree, and then it starts growing. First of all, you plant it, and then after that it grows, and then if it makes fruits, when air's done, and only then kedoyet site takes the time, is the time, and only after that time, because the peros, the fruits, are fit to eat, right? It starts growing fruits, but fruits take also time to grow. Und da sein and avexen there when the Jews went across the sea, it says that there grew up trees immediately, bald immediately. Oifen ord on that place, the trees grew up and they made fruits, and the Jews gave it to the birds. What type of a miracle is that? There must be a purpose. What's the purpose? We'll see. We also have to understand was there etzem nice from create the whole miracle of splitting of the Yam Suf, splitting is not given in an oven in such a way as their Wasser, that the water from the sea had this ois ge dricked. It's not that the water just dried up. She is given ois yam, that there was no sea. God could have just made it that the sea, like a big dam, put up a dam, and that the sea dried up. What'd be wrong with that? Nor their nace is given, but the miracle is the Wasser from the Wasser from what is the Wasser from the Zayden, from Yam, Zayden for Blima, the water remained sich gespalten, but it just divided itself. Und Zayden bevorn a moyer from the Yidden from Zera Beide Zayden, and it was like a wall for the Jews on both sides. It's not moving, it's not understood. As Valdach given genug, it would have been just enough as the nace from the miracle, as the Yidden Zolan Gain in Trinken, they should go on the dry land in the sea. Right? Again, as to the dry land in the sea, and it'll just dry up the sea, that's all. So Livosad Gadarv Zayin, why did it have to be the miracle as the water was like a wall? So we have two miracles that apparently are totally unnecessary. Muzman Zogan, we have to say, as their nace from a mayim, that the water was like a wall from the right and left, on the left sides, on azoi oich their nace from the pruchtvoyer, and also from the fruit trees. Not only that, it says in the Midrash that it wasn't just one wall, that there were 12 walls, or maybe 24 walls, if you want to say it. Instead of 2 walls, it says that each tribe had its own path. So it split really into 12 paths. So there was 24 walls. Okay. And then he goes, even if there was just 2 walls, it still is not understood. And also the thing of the fruit trees growing up with the fruit is nit kind sugav. It cannot just be an additional miracle, right? God's saying, if I'm doing a miracle, so I'll throw in a couple more miracles free, right? Right? You get buy 1 miracle, get 2 miracles free. You didn't have to have any miracle. The miracle of just drying up the sea was enough. He wanted to save the Jews, right? So he's saving the Jews was enough to just dry up the sea. Nor does is given a tile, but this must be that this was somehow or other a portion of a necessary intrinsic part of the splitting of the sea. Therefore, is the sipur from Kriyas Yamsuf. It says the Torah that it says 12 twice. Vegan Devasra, it says twice about the water. It says that it became a wall. Einma, one time when the Jews went into the sea, but Israel the Jews went into the sea and it became a wall. Israel it says that the Jews came in on the dry land. The waters were them a wall. And it says the second time, afterwards it says that the Jews were in the sea, and the Jews already came out of the sea. It says again, Ubnei Israel, they went. That's right. They were, and the water was for them a wall on the right and the left. This is an indication that a mayim lahem choma b'yaminam smola is given nogea tem ganzen zman. This is relevant to the whole entire time from when they went into the sea on the dry land. From the moment that they went in until the moment that they came out. So what's going on over here? Why is this miracle necessary? Also the sentence where it says that the water was a wall on the right and the left. Zog the Mechilta, it says in Mechilta is another midrash. And I just want to say one thing about these midrash. Some of them are pretty fantastic, these midrashim, but in fact, this is what's called the oral Torah. These are things that God gave to Moses when he was on Mount Sinai, and he told him not to write it down. This is the oral Torah, not to write it down. And they were revealed later in later generations to the rabbis. But the whole entire Torah was given to Moses, the oral Torah and the written Torah, but it was revealed only gradually, right? As it came out, the meanings of it also were revealed gradually in the course of time. So that's what the Mechilta was. All these midrashim, and Midrash Rabbah and the Mechilta, and then the Sifra, the Sifri, and the Midrash Tanchuma. All these are midrashim that were just revealing what God told to Moses on Mount Sinai, but they were just revealed when the time came. Or if in the case, okay, so what the Midrash says, that when the Jews went into the sea, that there was let me just try something over here. This might be a big mistake, but that doesn't, okay. Or if then pasuk on the sentence for the Mayim Lehem Choma, that the world water was for them a wall on the right and the left. Zog the Mechilta says, as he is given a kitruk, that there was a prosecution against the Jews. Bnei Adam ovdim avodah zora mahalchim biyabasha b'toch hayam. The Jewish people, when they were in Egypt, they held on to their identity, but it was very difficult for them not to worship idols. By the Jews, there were those that worshipped idols. The Egyptians were big idolaters, and it really was beneficial to them. The Egyptians, apparently, they ruled the whole world with their idolatry, and the Jewish people were their slaves. The Jewish people were the slaves of the Egyptians. It's seemingly by virtue of the idolatry of the Egyptians. The Egyptians worshipped these idols, and the idols answered their prayers. And the Jews, on the other hand, they were supposed to believe in God, and they were the losers. They were on the bottom. So it says a lot of the Jews just, they were working for the Egyptians. The Egyptians were worshiping these gods, so they wanted to ingratiate themselves to the Egyptians. And not only that, there came into their minds, listen, maybe these idols work. Maybe it could be they work. It seems that they really do work. I mean, any person with a brain in his head can see that these idolatry works, right? The Egyptians were ruling the whole entire world. So there were a lot of Jews that worshipped idols. So it says that the time when the Jews, now God hates idolatry. He hates idolatry. And the reason he hates idolatry is because God is creating everybody, and everybody is saying, thank you, great stone, and thank you, this, and praying to all sorts of, people and stars and things like that, and saying, I love you, and you are my Lord, and you are So this God is a jealous, called a jealous God, and rightfully everything belongs to him, and he gives everything to us for free. So he's got a right to make certain demands. And one of the demands is at least be faithful to me. That's relevant to all mankind. It's the first of the 7 Noahide commandments. Worship only God that creates you. Nevertheless, so the Jews, but nevertheless, it's not easy to hold this. We see that the Jews, when they left Egypt, almost immediately, 90 days after they left Egypt, right, 50 days until they got the Torah, and 40 days afterwards, they waited 90 days, and then they worshiped the golden calf as soon as Moses wasn't there. So we see that it's a big, the temptation to worship idols. And the opposite, on the other, it's a very, very big miracle if a Jew does not worship idols. Because Jews like worshiping idols. Idol worship works. Right? It works. It's fulfilling and all this stuff. So when the Jews were going over the Yam Suf, so God said, so there was a kitruk. What does it say? A prosecution against them. Hey, the Jews are worshiping idols. You're going to take them across the sea. They're no better than the Egyptians. Is given the kitruk was for us. The result, why should the Jews be saved by means of a miracle? How are they better than the Egyptians? These are serving idols, and these are serving idols. When the Mechilta Firdois, and it says, what caused the Jews to be saved? What it says, from the right and to the left. The right and to the left. The splitting of the sea gave a hint at the merit, what merit the Jewish people had. The Jewish people had merit of the right and the left. What's the right? The right is the merit of the Torah that they were going to receive. Like it says, miyaminam eish dat lamo, miyamino, it says, eish dat lamo. It says that the Torah comes from God's right hand, a fiery religion to God. That says the Torah is God's religion. That's the right. The merit of the Torah that they were going to receive. And from the left hand, that's prayer. Prayer, the Jewish people pray. Prayer is like fire going up. That's the left side of severity. It says the Jewish people called out to God from there. The Yitzaku el Hashem. There's another one. It says, what's the left? This is tefillin. The tefillin, phylacteries Jews put on. Does say this means is the Torah and prayer, or tefillin, or the tefillin, that Sveikav and these, which are on the right and the left. The right is the Torah is the right side, because God gave it for free. And prayer is what we give up to God, like fire. That's the left side, like severity, like heat, fire. As Zain and Gavan, these are the choma. This is what calls the wall, was hat beschützt, which saved the Jews from both sides. Und sie gerettet, and this is what saved the Jews. Is nicht verstanden. Says the Rebbe, it's not understood. So lieb was hat men gedarft haben a choma. Why did it have to be any merit, any wall? Was soll beschützen, which would save the Jews from both sides, from the right side and from the left side. For was is nicht gewinn genug from them zechut. Why was it just the merit should have been enough? Befrat them zechus miyaminim, from the right side, was gate of Torah's Torah that they're going to receive is by Matan Torah. The Matan Torah hat doch der Eibishter ois der wilt the Yidden from Allah Ferker that God divided the Jews from all the other nations. Was therefore, B'shas men zoktim barachas Kriya Shema, we say in the blessing of Kriya Shema, Banu B'charta Mikol Am V'Lashon, that God, you chose us from all of the other nations. When did God really choose the Jewish people? When? This is when God gave the Torah. Therefore, when we say in the blessing right before Shema Yisrael, we say, O Banu B'charta, that you chose us from all the people. You should have an intention that this was it when God gave the Torah. Was Od the Bechira, which this choosing that God chose the Jews is Dach Ois Dem Guf and Yisrael. God chose the Jewish bodies, not just the Jewish souls. The Jewish souls were already different. It says when the Jews went into Egypt, and they were slaves. So God said to Moses, right, my son, my firstborn Israel. The Jewish people are the sons of God. The sons of God, they were because of their souls. When did God choose all of the Jews, the Jewish bodies? That was at Mount Sinai. Because at Mount Sinai, he gave them commandments what to do. The commandments you do with your body. Un is andrish from Gufe almost all of them. The bodies of the Jews are different from the bodies of the non-Jews. How are they different? Who says they're different? According to science, they certainly are not different. Right? You can make a heart transplant from a non-Jew to a Jew, makes absolutely no difference. How are the bodies different? It says that they're different spiritually. And their kiyum from the Zainer Gufim and the existence from the Jewish bodies. It says that the existence from the bodies of the non-Jews, it comes from what's called gimel klippus tameas, comes from what's called 3 unclean shells. Under kiyum, but the Jewish bodies comes from what's called klippus noga, shining shells. Okay. That we'll discuss when you want to learn the Tanya, and 6th chapter, 7th chapter. Was there the difference between klippus noga and the klippus tameas, which is the difference between what's called shining nature and impure nature, impure shells, is a chiluk, the difference between the enoch, it's incomparably different. Al derech the chiluk, like the difference between klip and kedusha, like the difference between, let's say, the Holy Temple and the Eiffel Tower, right, or any other building. Varum, because gimel klippus atameus, because what's called the 3 impure shells can nit ola, they cannot be elevated to be holy. Klippus noga and klippus noga, which is called the shining shell, it can be holy. A non-Jew does a commandment, it doesn't become holy. A non-Jew can make an exact replica of the Holy Temple, it's not holy. God does not reveal there. He's doch das, so it means as bekoach in klippus noga, it has the power, the potential in what's called nature, klippus noga, shining shells, nature. An Indian from Kedusha, there's a potential for holiness. Noch mehr, even more. Their bekoach, their power, vet doch zicher kommen bepol, and not only is it a potential, but it'll certainly be revealed. For room the nitzutzas Kedusha, because the sparks of holiness from noga, which are in nature, which are in, how do you say, the Jewish nature, certainly they will be right to the holiness. Like it says, Lo yidach mimenu nidach. That's the whole secret of Moshiach, bringing all the Jews back to the land of Israel, not the non-Jews. The non-Jews will be benefited by the Moshiach. The non-Jews will be blessed by the Moshiach, but they won't be made holy. The Jewish people are holy. And from the Jewish people comes holiness to the whole world. But the world is not the same thing as the Jewish people. Unchach as the noga, that in what's called noga is in this permissible nature, as can yored sein, can come temporarily into klippus tameus, that the Jewish people also can become totally impure. Is this aber nit mer but it's only can only be temporary. Aber but in the end, no matter how defiled and debased and whatever degenerate, whatever a Jew can be, and they can get pretty bad. They get pretty bad. Here you got this whole big religion of Christianity was made by a Jew that went totally wrong. Right? Nevertheless, no matter how wrong you can go and how bad you can get, but every single Jew is going to wake up, even that guy. Und wie bald as mitzad Matan Torah, because Matan Torah line, Zayin and Shoyin, Yidden, the Jewish people are already upketel. They are divided off. Bechiluk Ikri, in a very foundation, essential way from the non-Jews. Jews are holy. Non-Jews cannot be holy. Non-Jews can be good, like I said. They can have a meaningful life, but not holy. They don't want to be holy. They don't know what holy means. Holy is only in this world. This physical world can you be holy. Holiness is here. Is dag genug. It says also the angels can also reveal a certain holiness. Und dag genug, it's enough. There's a chus from Matan Torah, so it would be enough just from the merit of Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. This would be enough to save them from the fact that they served idols in Egypt. It says these are, right? So the Jews, before they went across the sea, so it says that there was a prosecuting angel that said, hey, these Jews, they worshiped idols. How can you take them across? So God said, because the Jewish people learned they're going to receive the Torah, and because they prayed, in the merit of the Torah, they're going to have a wall on the right side, and on the merit of the prayer, they're going to have a wall. The water is going to be a wall on the left side. Says the Rebbe, what do you have to have the wall on the left side for? The Torah is enough. The Torah divided the Jews from the non-Jews. The Torah is enough to say, okay, that the Jews worshipped idols in Egypt, that was only temporary. So they did big sins, so it's only temporary. They'll be, instead, when they get the Torah, they'll be divided up, everything will be okay. So what do they have to have the left wall for? So Libosat began, Harb Daven, the Zechus from Tefillah. Why did they have to have the merit of prayer or tefillin? We're going to see if this is meaningful. Answer. In Kriyas Yamsuf, when the sea split, Zainagavens Feizach, and there were two things. B'shas Kriyas Yamsuf, in a time when the sea split, Hadzich ended, this finished the whole going out of Egypt. Varum Farag, Yit Kriyas Yamsuf, because before the sea split, Afilu Nochdem Vide Yidden Zain Arum arose from Mitzrayim, even after the Jews left Egypt. And even after when they came to the Piachirot, to a place which is called the exit of freedom. The exit of freedom. They came to this place where no slave had ever gotten out. Once you get out of this, between two big rocks or mountains or whatever it was, there was this big opening. It says that no slave ever went through that opening. In the whole history of Egypt, nobody ever escaped. And here now 3 million people got through. So they went through there, Zayin and Zaynach Alts, but nevertheless, until they went over the sea, they were still servants from Paro and his army. His archvice, so only when the sea split, they finished the whole thing of going across, of getting out of Egypt. Number one, so going over the sea, that was really the end of Egyptian exile. Number two, Kriyas Yamsuf is given, Achana was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. V'yisias Gevavur, like it's explained, the Indian from Kama Makom and many places in Hasidus, that splitting of the sea was not just for saving the Jewish people, because the saving of the Jewish people could have come through another way. A lot of ways for God to do things, right? Like I say, even the first plague, each plague only lasts for a week. And then there were 3 weeks, then it went away. Then there were 3 weeks, each of the 10 plagues. Why? God could have just made the first plague blood, and it could have just kept blood. That's all. It would have killed all the Egyptians. It says that the Jews had water, and the Egyptians only had blood to drink. How long can you drink blood, right? After a while, it's impossible. It's impossible. It doesn't satisfy your thirst. The Jewish people, the Egyptians would have all died from the first plague. You didn't have to have 9 plagues. You certainly didn't have to have the killing of the firstborn. And for sure, you didn't have the splitting of the sea. So why did God have to split the sea? Says the Rebbe, because it was a preparation for receiving of the Torah. Why was it preparation for receiving the Torah? Because when God split the sea, so they saw God. It says they saw Zekeli. It says they saw the Creator above all the spiritual level. They saw. Okay, that's the same. There was a preparation for the giving of the Torah when God also revealed Himself. Okay. Also, is this nit gewen sulib der veter dik gehen in Midbar. It also was not in order for the Jews to continue going. Because it says the same side that the Jews went in to the Yam Suf, they didn't cross over the sea. They didn't go straight. They made a left turn or a right turn, whatever it was, and they went down, and then they just came back out on the same side that they went in, a few miles down. Of them that's just as in Yiddish, the same thing. Is Yom Suf, is Zayin and Zay Areskiga, the same side that they went in is the same side they came out. It's just nor it is given achana, but the whole thing of the splitting of the sea was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. During Matan Torah, because through Matan Torah, through Matan Torah, the Hebrew from Maila and Mata joined the up and down. is the hachana. This preparation was hapachilami yabasha, that it transformed the sea to dry land. Terkoach Eloki, the power of God, was his far decked, which was concealed in the creation, which the creation is like the sea, like we said before. Azoivi, they're far decked, just like the sea, it hides over everything inside of it. Could be big whales over there, you don't even see them. Is all of a sudden everything became revealed. It says in the time when the Yam Suf split, is der Giloi given beofen klali on saltvelech. It says when the sea split, it was only in a general revelation of God, and it was only very temporary. When it was only a preparation to the fact that when the Jews received the Torah at Mount Sinai, had men given yeder yidden, every Jew was given the power to mechaber, to join, umegal, and reveal godliness from above with the physical world below, durach Torah and mitzvahs, in a kaviyas, in a permanent way. So this was a preparation for the giving of the Torah. Al inyanim, everything in the world, which the whole idea of Bereshis Bora Elokim says that God created the world, Bereshis, for the sake of the Jews. What does it mean for the sake of the Jews? For the sake of the Jews to fix it up. The Jews become servants of God's, public servants. The world becomes like a mayor, a president, whatever. The Jews became the presidents of the world. The president, if he's a good president, he has the obligation to the people. He's a servant of the people. So too the Jewish people, the world was given to the Jews. The world was given for the Jews. What? To fix up. The Jews are now responsible for the world. Seine verbunden mit Reshis Eden, the whole creation of the world is connected to the Jews. Yeder Pula, everything that a Jew does, mitum by zich, with himself, poiled on it as that it causes das selber the same thing will happen also in the world. What a Jew does in himself, that's why it's so bad when a Jew does a sin, because it affects the whole world. I mean, those people that say that the Jews are responsible for all the world's problems, they got a point, not the way they think. They would think, but it means that the Jewish people, those that don't do Torah and the commandments, as they're responsible. I mean, it's not punishable. You just have to bring them back to Torah and the commandments. From them is verstandig. So this is understood as das was by Kriyas Yam, so by the splitting of the sea, was revealed the godliness which is connected to the world, as is verbunden mit them, was is connected, which the fact with the Jews revealed godliness which is concealed in their own souls. Zechut from tefillah, that's the merit. Yes, neshama, in their own souls. I said, and therefore, had gemuz ze choma b'yameh. Therefore, they had to be a wall on the right and on the left. Zezayna zechus from the Torah. The merit of the Torah was wonderful. That divided them off from the non-Jews, but that did not reveal the true potential of the Jews. Only one side. They had to have the merit of prayer also. or we say, or tefillin, which that's the left side. But only by means of the service from both sides, right and left, can we reveal the concealed godliness which is in the soul of the Jews, and hence this concealed godliness in the whole world. If the service of God was only on one side, from Zamesiras Nefesh, even if a Jew, let's say he learns Torah, and he learns Torah with total self-sacrifice, and he's serving God, but he doesn't have the thing of prayer, or let's say he prays, and he prays with all of his side, but he doesn't have Torah, he doesn't learn the Torah, doesn't limit himself to Torah. As Ken Oberzain, it could be as Ertut does nor ein Teva, that he's doing because of his nature. He's learning Torah because he likes to learn. He's praying because he likes to pray. Serving God on both sides. See the Teva from Nefesh Bahamis, then maybe he's doing it from his nature of his animal soul. He's an intelligent person, or he's an emotional person, or because of his nature, even of a godly soul. Aber ultimate side them was the Tibo, but his nature sit him there because his nature draws him to one side of serving God. Es wird drückt sich aus der Emisser Bittel, I'm sorry, aber the Tibo sit him to their side of it. Oh, when can we see the true negation, surrender, and harmony with an Ibergegebenkeit and how do you say, devotion of the Jews to God is oifen zol in an oifen in such a way that he will go from all of his own ego, his own nature, even his holy nature, to serve God in a way which is beyond his nature, is b'shaser dint the Rebbe when he serves the God from both sides. A zon such service is not according to his nature, but it's only according to nor mitzad, but only because of his ibur gimel, because of his total surrender and devotion to God. And whatever you say, I'll do, God. Right? God says, learn Torah. He says, listen, God, I'd like to learn Torah, but I'm not such a smart person. I don't really know. Okay, that's what your nature is, but I'm telling you to go over it. Learn slowly, get a good teacher, learn Torah. Another person, God say, okay, pray. You have to pray to God. Guys, listen, God, I'm a very intellectual person. I'm not an emotional person. You know, that's like for children. I can't get emotional. God says, okay, maybe that's your nature, but that's not my nature. God says, my nature is infinite. And I want you to reveal the infinite inside of yourself. Go against your nature. Become emotional. So therefore, is davka durach dem avoda by Jewish people serving both from the right and the left. It shows this expresses their total surrender and their devotion and harmony with the God, with the Eibishter, in an oven in such a way which is Eber the greatness, which goes outside of all limits from his own nature and his existence, which this comes from his which this then comes because of the concealed godliness which is in every single Jewish soul, and which every single Jewish soul is a portion of God from above. And when a Jew does such a way, serves God in such a way, does the hanhaga from the ganzen Welt, because the conduct of the world depends on the service of the Jews, is durch them, by means of this, was Eden haben by sich, they caused by themselves, they affected in their own selves, as zal nisgalaveren should be revealed, the concealment, the concealed potential of their souls. In other words, they serve God not just according to their nature, in a way of kindness and whatever, learning Torah, or in the way of severity of prayer, but both sides. Voset gebracht, which this brings darzu to Zayin Avoda, the service should be on both sides, whether the merit of what's going to be, they're going to receive Torah, which they're going to receive the Torah, and the prayers that they're going to make, as hot as Gipol, this broad, as is Veld, as always the same thing in the world, as their Yom, that the sea, Helen, namely the concealment, everything that concealed over God, nature, is a Royce Begillah, came out in a revealed way, und is gestanen via moil, and it stood like a wall from Beider Seiten on both sides. Miamino Misavola from the right and the left. See, is nit given, it was not ois yom. It wasn't that the sea all of a sudden dried up. Nor the mayim, the water is given, nor the mayim, Zion was given yabasha, it became dry in the middle. There was dry. So in other words, what was concealing, namely sea, became revealed, dry land, but there was also a wall on right and left side to show in merit of what was such a thing. Okay, let me just see if there's more, how much more there is to go, because we haven't got that much time. Let's see, here we go. Okay, so I think we're going to stop here. Yes, okay. So that reveals godliness in the world. Okay, so what are we saying? The going across of the sea revealed godliness in the world as a preparation for the giving of the Torah, which would reveal the Creator in his creation in a permanent way, and it all depended on the Jews. Why was it that the trees grew up and there were flower and then there were fruits from the trees and they gave them to the birds sang together with the Jews? This we will talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, let's just learn the Yom Yom for today. 1 second. Where do we get to this? Yom Yom. Huh? Here we go. Here we go. A second. No, this is just the detail. My father once explained on Manishtana. This is relevant to the Passover Haggadah, but it's relevant really to now. So there are 4 questions that are asked. 4 questions that are asked. The first question is, first of all, it starts with, how is this night different from all the other nights? That's the general, title of the 4 questions. First of the questions is, on all other nights, we don't have to dip anything. We eat our food. On this night, we dip the bitter herbs and the charoset, and we dip. Second question is, all other nights we eat chametz. You can eat as much bread as you want to, or matzah if you want, but tonight we can't. We have to eat only matzah. The third question is, on every night we can eat all sorts of greens. We don't have to eat bitter herbs, but this night we eat bitter herbs. On all the other nights, we can eat sitting up or leaning over. On this night, we're supposed to recline. Now let's see what this means according to Chassidut. How is this night? How is this night different from all the other nights? How is this exile, the final exile that we're in, different from all the other earlier exiles, right? We were in Egypt, we were in Babylon, etc. How it says on the other nights we don't dip. The word for dipping means to immerse ourselves. Dip is also for matbilim, is also to going to a mikvah. A mikvah means we are purified. And all the other exiles, we were purified. On the other nights, we were not purified even once. It wasn't completed. But tonight, on this long exile, 2,000 years exile, this will bring about the complete purification of all of the Jewish people's souls. Number 2, on all of the nights, we can eat chametz or matzah. What does it mean? Following each of the earlier exiles that we had was exile, was our godly soul and also our animal soul. The godly soul is matzah and the animal soul is chametz. But this night, only matzah. There won't be any animal soul, so to speak. The animal soul will be completely subjected to the godly soul. The spirit of impurity will be abolished. I mean, eventually there won't even be any death. On all the other nights, we eat different vegetables. What are the vegetables? It says greens, yurakot. Yurak means green. Green says a person whose face is jealous, he turns green. That's envy. All the earlier exiles, there were all sorts of forms of envy, right? But on this night, the only type of envy that there will be the most intense, bitter greens. We'll see the true holiness of every Jew, and every Jew will be intensely jealous. In other words, how do you say, with a better word for jealous? In any case, it will be jealous of the other. In other words, everyone will appreciate the other person and feel that he's lacking something that the other person is. Really, that's the way it is now. It says, who is a wise person? Someone who learns from everybody. So really, everybody should be, in that way, jealous of everybody else. Not jealous, a bad type of jealousy that you want the other person to not exist. Jealous means, well, I want to learn from that person so that I should be like him, right? I should be like him. So in the future, everybody will really want to learn. There'll be this beautiful type of jealousy that people will not be satisfied with what they are. They'll see the good in everybody else and want to learn from that good. Number 4, on all the other nights we eat either sitting or reclining. Eating means spiritual delight, getting pleasure. There's all sorts of different types of pleasure that can be received from doing commandments now in exile. But in this, we'll have only the ultimate pleasure of serving God all the time. This will be intense pleasure. This night, we all recline. There'll be only the true pleasure of serving the creator of the universe constantly. Okay, God bless you all. God willing, tomorrow we'll have another class, or maybe later today I'll do it, because tomorrow night is going to be a holiday. Tomorrow night we stay up all night. It's the seventh day of Passover when the sea split. So that's what we're celebrating. So God willing, tomorrow night. So God willing, there'll be a class tomorrow as well. Have a good day with Moshiach now. And tomorrow we'll understand why it was that the fruit trees grew up from the ground of the Yam Suf when the Jews went across.